What's going on, everybody? We're gonna try something a little bit different. Like, we might open a whole new playlist tab for us if this makes it through. This is 1916, the history of Motörhead, Sabaton History 120 official. Let's see. I am learning. This is just an American learns history through Sabaton. I'm guessing. I'm here for it, man. You guys, there's been enough interest peaked to check them out. Okay? To check what they're doing. I gotta see it. And I'm excited. This is a 24-minute video. I will try not to pause it too much, but you know, I have to pause it because, guys, like, I don't know how this is gonna go. We're gonna try something new. If you guys are here for it, make sure you like the video. At least let me know if I should keep this up, or what how I should approach this. I'm gonna just try this. Okay? I'm gonna try this. I gotta learn. I love me some history. So I can't wait to hear it from the badasses of Sabaton. All right? So without further ado, the history of Motörhead. Let's go.
Hello everyone, I'm Joakim from Sabaton.
And I'm Indy Nidell.
This is, of course, Sabaton history.
And this is his history of Motörhead.
But first, the history of Motörhead.
Hell yeah, man. Motörhead.
Overkill, Bomber, Ace of Spades, Sacrifice, Inferno. You guys already know what I'm talking about, right? The band that never released a bad record in their 40-year career, with a front man that sold his soul to rock and roll and played it louder than everything else. A gang of gamblers, desperados, and speed freaks who ruled the stage with an iron fist. Of course, I am talking about the one, the only, Motörhead.
16 years old when I went to the war to fight for a land fit for heroes. God on my side and a gun in my hand, chasing my days down to zero.
On December 24th, 1945, he was born. Though christened Ian Fraser Kilmister, he is known far and wide to all as the one and only Lemmy. Once he was old enough to be interested in girls, rebellion, and rock and roll, Lemmy chose to quit wasting time in a soul-crushing factory job in the English Midlands and went for a career on the road, playing first in the Rocking Vickers and...
Okay. This has nothing to do with possibly like war history, but this is definitely the history that I want so bad right now. The history of Motörhead, the band. But I don't know why it took me that long to put it all together. Okay? Sorry. 3 minutes, almost 4 minutes in. It clicks. I apologize. Thank you for rocking with me anyway. But let's find this out. I'm excited for this. The history of Motörhead. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. Let's just go. Let me take it back a little bit. I'm going to try not to pause it. This is a very long video. So, let's go.
Lemmy chose to quit wasting time in a soul-crushing factory job in the English Midlands and went for a career on the road, playing first in the Rocking Vickers and later in Hawkwind. Yes, this is an abbreviated bio. He had made a name for himself on the British rock scene by the early 70s. I liked Hawkwind back in the day, actually. Well, I still do. Anyhow, after being booted from Hawkwind, Lemmy ultimately decided he had to start his own band if he wanted to play music the way he liked it. His aim was loud, fast, city, raucous, arrogant, paranoid, speed freak rock and roll. It'll be so loud that if we move in next door to you, your lawn will die.
Yeah, man.
Initially, Lemmy wanted to call the band Bastard, but after his manager reminded him that there's no chance in hell he would get his songs played on the radio, If the band was called Bastard, they changed it to Motörhead, which was the title of the last song Lemmy had written for Hawkwind, and refers to a regular user of amphetamines, not some sort of driver. Lemmy did not drive, by the way.
What?
The added umlaut was to make it look mean and look unique. Around Christmas 1975, he met Phil Taylor, a very talented drummer, whom Lemmy soon dubbed Filthy Animal, and who replaced the original Lucas Fox. Lemmy was soon introduced to guitarist Fast Eddie Clarke, who was first supposed to be a second guitarist, but became the one and only when Larry Wallace quit. And together they formed the classic Motörhead lineup, the first triumvirate of gunslingers, the Three Amigos. However, Motörhead was no overnight sensation. 1976 was full of bad shows, bad reviews, bad record deals, but with punk gaining mainstream traction the next year, it also helped Motörhead to finally release their first self-titled album. Their label had actually refused to release their first recordings. They would be released eventually in 1979 as On Parole. There was still a lot of old Hawkwind on the debut album, but songs like Iron Horse, Born to Lose, and the aptly titled White Line Fever would start what the fans would refer to as classic Motörhead. The game truly began to change when Phil Taylor added double-time kick drums to his kit. The result was the incredibly fast rhythm of 1979's album Overkill, an absolute banger, cementing that the only way to feel the noise is when it's good and loud.
Facts.
So began the era when everything the Three Amigos touched turned to gold. The follow-up albums Bomber the same year and Ace of Spades a year later became instant hits, and for nearly the next 4 decades, no Motörhead show would be complete without their title tracks. Lemmy's rough vocals and rumbling Rickenbacker bass, the thundering double-fisted drums, and the hard-edge riffs became their signature sound. Unrelenting fast rock and roll numbers were, though, accompanied by blues and mid-tempo grooves. Thematically, it was them against the world. The road crew with a love for drugs and loose women, giving the finger to the police, to the church, to the government, to everybody. All this transformed Motörhead from being one of many street-level rock bands to a truly unique and revolutionary lineup. The Three Amigos became stars at home, appearing on British TV and on magazine covers. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre EP they did with Girl School sold more than 200,000 copies in the UK. Their live album No Sleep Till Hammersmith went to #1 in the UK charts. In 1981, they opened for Ozzy Osbourne on their first American tour. But then came the problems.
My friend cried, and he sank to his knees, coughing blood as he screamed for his mother. And I fell by his side, and that's how we died, clinging like kids to each other.
Success led to arrogance, arrogance to disaffection, and disaffection to a clash of egos. Fights on the tour bus became more frequent over money, over the creative future of the band. A lot of it was felt in their next album, Iron Fist. Although full of gems like the title track, I'm the Doctor, and Grind You Down, the record sounded unfinished and uninspired to many. And despite their success, there were still many critics that saw Motörhead as kind of a joke band, a caricature of the whole biker, punk, rock, hard rock shtick. And when Lemmy announced that he wanted to collaborate with the Plasmatics on a cover of Tammy Wynette's Stand By Your Man, Fast Eddie had had enough. Accusing Lemmy of destroying the credibility of the band, he walked out. And Motörhead would never really be the same. As a replacement, Phil Taylor brought in former Thin Lizzy guitarist Brian Robbo Robertson. In 1983, the new trio brought out Another Perfect Day, and it instantly divided both fans and critics. For some, it was the most refined, thoughtful, and varied album the band would ever put out. For others, it lacked the very essence of what made Motörhead so unique, even with Back at the Funny Farm having a really similar bass riff to Ace of Spades.
Okay, so they went through a lineup change, and they got bit in the butt by their fan base. It's tough. It's tough. Like, That's just, I feel like any band that goes through a lineup change, and that's it's not many bands can overcome that, and especially when your creative paths diverge in what some band members want to what you truly want, and at the end of the day, it's whoever started the band. That's kind of like their call. It's a tough one, and so it's interesting to see Motörhead went through this similar. I didn't know. I didn't know anything about the history of Motörhead, guys. Okay, I know Ace of Spades, and that's it. So in the comment section, more Motörhead to check out, please. Let's do this properly. But no, that's interesting. I love this take on the history of Motörhead. It's very insightful. They've done a lot of research. I love this. All right. Sorry, guys. You know what? Can I just push? Boom.
Really similar. And although Robbo was a gifted guitarist, he'd never conformed to the Motörhead image. On stage, he wore baggy trousers, colorful hair and shirts, and even straight up refused to play older favorites like Ace of Spades and Overkill. Ticket sales for the coming European tour were so bad that they had to pull it. Imagine that. Well, that was it for Lemmy. Robbo had to go. And Taylor left in 1984, just after they recorded their guest episode of The Young Ones. That was actually the first time I ever saw Motörhead on TV, that episode. Wow. The exit of both Eddie Clarke and Phil Taylor was really the end of classic Motörhead. But there was still the one and only Lemmy, and he was determined to rebuild the band one way or the other. The band was now a four-man lineup. When Lemmy could not decide between his new guitarists Phil Campbell and Michael Wurzel Burston, he decided to take them both. Oh, they played on that Young Ones episode. The two really could not be further apart from each other. While Campbell was definitely the better guitar player, Wurzel had more stage presence. With Pete Gill of Saxon on the drums, they tried to reinvent.
Shout out to my buddy Captain Bapton, man. Thank you for leading me down. We still have to do another Saxon song, but hey, Saxon, I'm piecing things together, guys. I'm piecing things together.
Motörhead's Bad Magic. And indeed, the first new singles, Killed by Death and Snaggletooth from No Remorse, proved to the fans that the band was far from dead. Snaggletooth was the anthem to the band's iconic logo, the war pig, the bastard, the face Lemmy said you see in the mirror when you're on drugs. Speed don't kill, and I'm the proof. Just call me Snaggletooth. And there were a lot of drugs and alcohol in Motörhead's career. I'm not sure how much I can talk about it without being censored by YouTube, so the less said, likely the better. Let's just say, Lemmy always said speed helped him get to places where he could not otherwise. The 1986 album, Orgasmatron, however, did not cause all too many sparks. It was an attempt to find the ultimate formula that would appeal to both hardcore fans and casual listeners. But what came out was a wild mix of different elements, from funk to jazz to punk to metal. It's not bad, but different. Yet the lousy commercial reception would ensure that Motörhead would never stray that far away from their playbook again. Of course, there's always that guy that tells you that all Motörhead songs sound the same, with only slight deviations here and there, and that is, of course, BS. As I said before, the band incorporated many different styles and different tempos on pretty much all albums. Just listen to 1916, or March or Die, and Bad Religion, to Hellraiser, to I Ain't No Nice Guy, and you tell me the songs all sound the same. Of course, the song 1916 from the 1991 album 1916, The Reason We Are Here Today, is an especially powerful ballad about the slaughter that was the Battle of the Somme. Certainly one of the best anti-war songs you'll ever hear. So you know what? Don't be that guy. That album featured the return of Filthy Animal Taylor and seemed to signal a return to the past. Yet these times proved to be ultimately over when Taylor was fired in 1992. The new Motörhead would find its drummer in Mickey D, formerly of Dokken and King Diamond, and a worthy successor he was. Mickey D is a monster on the drums and carried the band to a new level. And once Wurzel left, the Kill Mr. Campbell D lineup would form the second triumvirate all the way to the end. While other rock and metal bands stumbled over themselves in the 90s, many bending their knee to grunge, nu metal, and other variations, Motörhead remained the same. The only major change was the scenery. Lemmy broke with his homeland, and the band focused on conquering the American market. Money had always been tight within the band, and Lemmy once said that just by writing the lyrics for Ozzy's mega hit Mama, I'm Coming Home, he had made more than in all his time in Motörhead so far.
Wow.
With We Are Motörhead in 1999, the band demonstrated that they were well aware of what their fans wanted by balancing speed-driven songs with down-tempo numbers, from the thundering See Me Burning to the punk cover of God Save the Queen to the heartfelt One More Fucking Time. Then, with a steady stream of new releases and a constantly updated touring schedule, Motörhead enjoyed a renaissance. 2004's Inferno and its follow-up Kiss of Death in 2006, for example, they are also just bangers. Musically, it seemed like nothing could stop the Lemmy Campbell D lineup at this point. However, Lemmy's declining health became worrisome. In 2000, he was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and hospitalized with exhaustion, and was advised to overhaul his lifestyle of drugs and drinking. But a habit of 60 cigarettes, a bottle of Jack Daniels, and 3 grams of speed a day were hard to give up, even if Lemmy had wanted to. Instead, he preferred to make sure that he enjoyed life to the fullest, right up until he was killed by death. And indeed, the band kept going strong, releasing the acclaimed The World Is Yours in 2011, Aftershock in 2013, and Bad Magic in 2015. But after 40 years of thunder and lightning, the run was nearing its end. Lemmy's once powerful voice became weak and frail, and so did the man as illness took its toll. Shows and tours had to be postponed and shifted around. December 11th, 2015 in Berlin was to be their final show. Fun fact, Marcus Linke, who, as you may know, researches and writes these episodes with me, was at that show.
Wow.
Can we get a picture of him? And now maybe with Lemmy photoshopped in? Cool. Also, fun fact, by late 2015, my series, The Great War, was taking off, and I had the idea that since Lemmy was very much interested in that conflict, it would be cool to get him on the show, but like as a surprise. Like, I'd say, but the Austrians are making advances on the Italian front, and to cover that, here's Italian front correspondent Lemmy. Over to you, Lemmy. And then it would cut to him presenting the next section of the show. That would have been awesome, but it was not to be. On December 28th, 2015, just 4 days after his 70th birthday, Lemmy Kilmister passed away. Not that long earlier, he had been diagnosed with terminal prostate cancer. And with the one and only Lemmy gone, the story of Motörhead comes to an end. Mickey D and Phil Campbell would go on to do their own projects, which I totally recommend you check out. But after 40 years of sheer badassery, it was just time to say goodbye. Bye, Lemmy.
Man.
Okay, so that was the history of Motörhead. Now, let's hear about your history of Motörhead. I mean, you've obviously been a fan of them for weeks.
I mean, what? I love this, man. This is like what would you even, a documentary almost? This is awesome. Oh man, only 15 minutes in. I've learned more in this than I feel like I would have ever learned like about Motörhead ever. So, what a blessing, man, to be in this position that I'm in, learning about the badass bands and the histories of bands that, I just never would have. I would never have gone out to search this, but because we're here, I am appreciative of this. This is freaking amazing.
So that was the history of Motörhead. Now, let's hear about your history of Motörhead. I mean, You've obviously been a fan of them for weeks by now.
Yes, actually, coming up to 3 weeks now.
Okay, well, tell us about those 3 weeks and throw in some stuff from years ago just to round it out, okay?
Actually, I saw them the first time, must have been over 20 years ago, around 99, 2000 sometime was the first time, I think.
That was
or
when
maybe
they were
earlier.
really kicking it back up, starting to kick it back up.
Coming back up again. And we had a couple of summers, I think it was 2010 or 11 or 9 or something like that, around that era. Oh, you got a coffee delivery.
Oh, it's my coffee girl. So, thank you. Coffee girl, look, you can be on TV. You can look over and say you're on TV. My coffee girl. All right. As you were saying.
As I was saying, yeah, we every summer and every now and then there's this bands that you're on the road together.
Right.
Not that you're touring together, but both bands released an album or something.
Right,
so you're
sure.
touring at the same time. And I think it was 9 or 10, and that's when we were always ended up on the festivals with Motörhead.
Okay.
Italy, there's Motörhead, wherever we went, it felt like. And I think that's the first time we did anything else than say hello together and stuff like that. I remember, I don't know if I should say this, but Mickey was actually late to stage once because we were talking about Zlatan Ibrahimovic in the dressing room.
See? That's the kind of stuff that you just don't get in the newspapers.
No, you don't. Maybe he'll be pissed off for me telling that. It wasn't too bad, but yeah. First time I met Lemmy was funny, and I really learned a lesson. I think I said that, told this story on here sometime before.
Tell it again.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure they've seen every episode, but maybe they don't remember every episode.
That's true. Well, I think this is Sweden Rock 2003, and I was performing there, but with another band. I was playing the keyboards, and I was in the backstage bar having something to drink. Surprise, surprise. And Lemmy walks in, stands 2 meters away from me at the bar. It was only him and me in there. Strange. But I knew then that he liked Jack Daniels, but he preferred Maker's Mark.
Okay.
So I told the bartender, because I was ordering, and get him a double Maker's Mark.
Yeah.
And he came over after, it's like, hey, thanks for the drink. And we started talking a little bit, and I asked him, why are you hanging out here with me? You probably got other stuff to do. Yeah. And he told me then that sort of like, well, if you take a drink from somebody, you should at least go and thank them, and if possible, spend the time with that person that you're drinking that drink. And I was, oh, that's a nice thing. And I asked him, what if I was an asshole then? I drink whiskey fast. Thanks, brother. And he walked away.
You know, it's funny because I do remember that story, but also if you, like when you were saying, maybe I've told it before, I'm like, I wouldn't be able to remember it. So I'm glad that you reminded us. That's a great moment. So how fast did he drink it?
Oh, he downed it as a joke, of course.
Oh, yeah, sure. But you met him a bunch of times after that?
Yep. Usually, especially I remember in Italy, we got the reaction, oh, great, you guys again. But a lot of good stories about him. I don't know who it was. We've had people in our crew who's worked with Motörhead, and also we met other people. And I remember one thing he was really amazing about is, some artists complain when they're going out of a shuttle, tour bus shuttle or airport shuttle into a hotel, and there's a bunch of fans waiting outside.
Sure, yeah.
And I remember somebody in that shuttle, was other bands in there as well, complaining like, oh great, now we got a signing session to do or some pictures to take. And he sort of said something along the lines, it's nothing to be afraid of. Be afraid of the day when they're not standing there. That's my fear, he said something. So,
wow.
Cool guy. Didn't know him very well though. So,
what about the other guys? Since this is Motörhead, not just them.
Motörhead, yeah. Obviously met Mickey and Phil a couple of times, mostly Mickey because he is, Swedish and around. Usually comes to shows and stuff like that. Known him for quite a few years now, actually. Phil, only a few times, actually. We obviously during the music video shoots, and other before that, I'm sorry to say, only a few times at festivals said hi and stuff.
Yeah.
Super nice guy, though.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were a little kid, did you listen to Motörhead then?
Now is when it gets embarrassing, actually.
Okay.
I did not really like them until I were like 20 years old,
Wow.
Or maybe even.
Hey, okay, listen. I feel like music comes into your life at different times for different reasons. And I don't know what it is, but I'm very thankful and this stage of life to be able to finally appreciate different genres, different styles of music. And I love that you guys have led me down this path of understanding, of realization, and I can really embrace the music. Before, I feel like I was living too fast to just absorb, if that makes any sense. Like, my blinders were on. I was always too busy. I needed this light copy and paste. Just, I didn't want to think about maybe music too much. Didn't go in depth. That wasn't my escape per se. Now, because of this journey, I am just inundated with this glorious feeling of discovering new music. And that is something that I can't thank each and every one of you guys enough for. So just wanted to put that out there. All right.
Late teens, at least.
Okay.
Before that, I never caught on with me.
Well, I didn't really know. I mean, I mentioned in the episode the first time I ever saw them on TV, because they broke in Europe before, obviously in the States, was that Young Ones episode. And by then they were a four-piece. They weren't the original trio and stuff. But that was the first time I'd seen them, and I was 16 or 17 when that came out. So I didn't really know them. So you don't have to feel that bad. You're not alone that I didn't start listening to them to my late teens.
No.
Yeah. Do you remember the movie Eat the Rich? Did you ever see that? The one that they did? Where they wrote the song, Lemmy wrote the song Eat the Rich for the movie.
No, I don't. Actually.
Okay.
I don't think I ever saw it.
Okay, I don't know what that noise was. I thought it was somebody saying they saw that movie and they really liked it. Actually, the movie itself, I don't think stands the test of time, and it was okay when it came out, but Lemmy is briefly in it. He's in it.
Okay.
And the song Eat the Rich, that was one of the first Motörhead tunes. Come on, baby, eat the rich, bite down on the son of a bitch. That's a very Lemmy lyric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great songwriter as well. He wrote for other artists. I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
Really liked, was it Hellraiser he did it? He did it with Motörhead, I think, but also Ozzy Osbourne did it. He wrote it with Ozzy Osbourne. So.
Well, we mentioned the lyrics for Mama, I'm Coming Home in the episode. And that Lemmy said he made more money from that than from all of the Motörhead stuff beforehand all together.
That's crazy.
Can imagine.
But especially for a band like you guys are worldwide and world famous. And obviously songwriting royalties is a huge source of income comparing just to playing live shows. Yep. Some bands, there's members that have a lot of money. Some bands that don't have that much money because they're not. How do you guys share the songwriting credits and royalties? Because you and Per write most of the songs, but not all the songs. I mean,
no, everybody is credited as a songwriter. Okay. There are different sorts of royalties. This is a sort of nerdy thing, but if you go and look at music royalties, I could be standing here and explaining with a whiteboard for 15 minutes, and I still wouldn't cover half of it. So there are songwriting.
Wait. I see a part 4 for 1916. Okay.
Joachim and Per with a whiteboard explaining music royalties.
I think people want to see that. Write in the comments if you really want to see that.
Briefly, there is publishing rights, there is mechanical rights, master owners, there is lyric writer and songwriter. Depending on, the song, if you own the recording, as in you are the record label or the recording artist, that is where the biggest share is actually. There is something for if you wrote only the music or only the lyrics, but for that to amount to a lot of money if you did only one song. Yeah. Of course, if you're doing Mama, I'm Coming Home, a global hit that's played on the radio everywhere. Because as soon as you get airplay in radio, the rates go up. As soon as it's on theaters or on the radio and such things, that's when the money starts rolling in. Because songwriters' royalty on 1,000 streams on Spotify, it's not gonna. You're not gonna notice it.
It's not gonna keep you in pencils.
No.
Now, when we do the film together, when me and Sparty write the Last Battle film about Schloss Itter, and you guys compose all the music and do all the songs for that, we're all gonna make a lot of money out of that. Right?
Oh yeah,
that's gonna be great. I still have that in mind. I want to do that as a project.
I would love to do it.
Oh, you want to know something? Sparty and I, just a couple weeks ago, we were doing a writing workshop. Sparty is my business partner with Time Goes through.
Spartacus Olsen?
We had to do a writing workshop in Austria, in Altbach, for our upcoming D-Day extravaganza. And we were literally like 10 miles from Schloss Itter. And we're like, we got to go visit Schloss Itter. But it's privately owned and they don't like guests.
Oh, no.
So how much are they going to charge to?
We'll just have to buy it.
True.
So,
So
we
back
can pay
out on tour for us then.
Yeah, but we can pay for it with all the money from the movie and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So,
Take a bank loan, hoping the movie will do well.
what do you want the bank loan for? We'd like to buy a castle.
Yes.
What are you going to do with it? Film a movie about World War II.
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about Motörhead? Any goodbyes or thank yous or anything like that?
Well, thank you for the good shows and the good times. Obviously, hugely influential on the metal scene, but I
Yeah.
think what is sometimes forgotten among the crazy stories about Lemmy is that he was genuinely a good guy.
That's a great thing to say. A great thing to be left with. Well, thank you guys very much
Wow.
for watching this episode.
Of Sabaton history.
See you next time.
See you next
There
time.
you go.
And that's how it is for a soldier.
All right, everyone. What are you waiting for? Click that bell, subscribe, check out Indie's other channels, and remember to spread the word. And until next time, thank you very much.
Man, that was awesome. Please come with me on this journey. We might. Oh no, I have too many channels. I'm just like, do we do this? Like, I'm so pumped. Anyway, guys, thank you for rocking with me. I cannot wait to see your comments in the comment section. Please let me know if we should continue down this rabbit hole of Sabaton's History Channel. I'm here for it. That was mad interesting. I freaking loved that. I thought, I don't know what I was talking about in the beginning. Jesus. Anyway, guys, not to make this any longer than it is, thank you for rocking with me. Make sure you guys unplug, do something legendary, embrace life, embrace those moments, guys. And yeah, everything else, I'll see you all in the next video. Later, guys.